Second paragraph should all be about your work experience and your voluntary work. Yeah. So what did you gain from your work experience? And what insight did it give you into being a doctor? Yeah. Include the length of time per placement. So you can say that means just putting down, look, I spent a week in a GP surgery, full stop. Yeah. Yeah. There's no need to go into elaborate dates, basically. What aspects of medicine attracted you and why? What did you find interesting and why? Is there anything unexpected that happened that you saw? Hopefully you'll have kept a reflective log or a journal during your work experience. That's something that you can use to write this section, basically. Okay, as I say, I'll give you copies of all these slides. So these are some of the qualities of a doctor. So it's useful to show that you've got some of these on your personal statement in this section. So without being too prescriptive about these, insight into your strengths and weaknesses, your academic and problem-solving ability, effective communication. So effective communication, have you worked in a job or worked in a voluntary role where you've had to talk to people? For example, have you worked in a food bank or in a charity shop where you've talked to people? How have you developed your communication skills? How can you use what you've learned as a medical student? Lifelong learning and professional development. Do you take responsibility for your own actions? Your team working skills. There's several activities, extracurricular activities that involve team working, particularly sports. For example, do you play in an orchestra, etc.? There's a lot of team working there. Dealing with uncertainty and managing risks. Have you come across a situation in your life where you had to dealt with uncertainty? Empathy. Yeah, empathy. Did you see any empathy during your work experience, or have you managed to demonstrate it yourself? And what's your own reflection of that? We expect honesty and integrity, so I wouldn't, it's something that's expected. I don't think it's something that you need to focus on too much. Yeah. So homework is going to be, look through each one of these and see if there's anything that you've done, either extracurricular or something that you might have perhaps done in your school, that you can slot into any of these sections. Yeah. And then write a statement or a sentence with each one with reflection. As I say, it'll take you a few drafts, but this I'm giving you a framework today on how to start. There you go. So here's some examples, example words and phrases. I did a 2-week placement at my local GP surgery. I mean, I'd even argue, well, you need to put the word local in. I sat in with the GP and nurses. Again, I think this could have been written a bit better. I observed how the GP interacted with patients in the surgery. This is like basic starting points that you can write down. I'm sure you can narrow this down. So you can say, during my 2-week placement in the GP surgery, I shadowed the GP and I saw, can you see how you've managed to reel it down from those 3 sentences just into a few words? I saw a patient with such a disease, and this interested me because, I saw the doctor treating somebody with, I did voluntary work in a food bank. But again, you've done voluntary work in a food bank. That's good. But what did you learn from it? As I say, communication skills, organization skills, unsociable hours, some of them. You've come across the public. You've come across poverty. You might have talked to people about how it's affecting their life and some of the challenges that they're facing. These are all things that you can put down. Paragraph 2A, 2A, again, these are other things that I can think you can put down. Any topics in your A-level studies that interested you. Have you read any interesting articles, for example, in the medical journal? Again, you don't have to panic read 2 weeks before submitting your UCAS form. Have you been to any lectures or seminars? Have you been to any talks? Anything you put down, you've got to reflect on why it's relevant to medicine. There are students that will say, well, I've been to a BMA talk about such and such, or, I've been to a local workshop about access to medicine and things like that. So yeah, by all means put that down, but do put your reflection down, and do put down what you've learned and how it's interested you. Activities in school. How many of you, in the Q&A, how many of you have got positions of authority, would I say, or positions in school that are beyond just doing A levels? Yeah, so head of house, STEM prefect, house captain, excellent. Chemistry ambassador, excellent, excellent, excellent. Now we know that not everybody is going to be, not everybody is going to be head boy. Yeah. But the fact that there's many of you there that have got some positions of authority, some positions of leadership there, that's positive. That's something that you can put on your UCAS statement. Have you organized anything at school? Have you helped organize a school play, or organized something for the lower years, perhaps? Have you helped with any fundraisers at school? If there's a medical society in your school, have you done anything for it? Have you organized a topic for it, or organized a timetable, or have you done something that's helped other students? Form prefect, class representative. Put your reflections on that. What have you learned from that? What skills have you learned? What skills have you learned that will help you become a medical student or a doctor? Have you played in the concert or a school play? School ambassador, on an open day. Have you shown parents around? What skills are needed for that? Have a think. Again, head boy, head girl. Again, plenty of leadership things there. But again, most people aren't head boy or head girl. Don't worry if you're not. And remember, not every school has these opportunities. Not every school has the opportunity to be, have school ambassadors and school plays and all these things. So they'll be aware of that. Yeah. Again, some warnings. I think I've gone through some of these before. Don't copy paragraphs again from books or courses or online word for word. Don't write anything that's not true. Don't write anything that you can't talk about in your interview. Don't make it too formal, and don't get graduates or people to use templates to write it for you. So it's just a repeat of what we said earlier previously, isn't it? Paragraph 3 should be can be about your extracurricular activities. Now, don't make it any more than 25% of your statement. Yeah. You need to focus on motivation and work experience. Yeah. So I wouldn't drag on too much with this. Duke of Edinburgh Award, for example. Again, don't just put down, I've done Duke of Edinburgh Award. What did you learn from it? And how is it going to help you at medical school? Yeah. How is it going to help you being a doctor? Have you gained any skills that will help you? Yeah. Any other awards or achievements? For example, I know students that have got art awards, for example, awards in music, qualifications in playing the piano, for example. Cubs, public speaking, have you got part-time jobs? Wherever you put down that's extracurricular, you must relate it to the qualities of a doctor. Yeah. So you don't just list them. You've got to write down how that's going to help you as a medical student or a doctor. And go back and look at the previous slide where I've mentioned some of the qualities of a doctor and see if you can slot it into any of them. And finally, paragraph 4, your conclusion. 2 sentences is enough. Some of the things you can put in your last paragraph. Summarize some of the challenges that you've come across. Summarize some of your positive attributes, and end on stating that you're ready for medicine. So usually the last sentence is something along the lines of, during my work experience, or during my some of the roles that I've had, I've come across some of the challenges of medicine, and I'm now ready for them, basically. Something along those lines, not as brief as that, but it's basically, it's just going to summarize what you've learned, what you've come across, what's the challenges, and that you're ready. I'm ready for 5 years of study at medical school. I'm ready to start my career as a doctor. Yeah. So don't put it on as a cliff edge. Summary of what you've done. 2 sentences. Summary of your positive attributes. Yeah. Let's quickly go over reference. The reference is another section of the UCAS personal statement. It's usually done by somebody from your school or college that you attended most recently. So if you're in employment or if you've left school, then it may be worth going back and speaking to somebody who can do this for you. You can't write it yourself, and it looks very odd if it's done from someone outside your school. So I think most schools, there's usually somebody in the 6th form, whether it's a specific tutor or, some schools, even if you're applying for medicine, they even have one person that does it for everybody who's applying for medicine or dentistry and things like that. So it's usually somebody from your school, basically. It also includes the predicted grades. So that's very important. Hopefully the school will have told you what your predicted grades are. Again, if your predicted grades don't meet the entry requirements, chances are you're not going to be successful. Work hard to try and impress your referee. Now, under GDPR, you're entitled to see your reference. If the school won't give it to you, you can get it from UCAS. And the days of a confidential reference are long gone, basically. Anything is open to challenge. So previously, the reference might have been, hidden from you, basically, or the school would have been their right not to tell you what's on it, especially if it contained bad points, basically, or negative points. But now, I'd encourage you to get a copy of it and have a look at it, basically. They'll talk about your academic potential and achievement. They'll talk about your motivation. They'll talk about your personal qualities. Again, you can help them with this. If it's somebody that doesn't know you, for example, it's one tutor who's nothing to do with your form or your subjects or one of your teachers, and they've been tasked to do the personal statement for you, maybe worth going having a chat with them. They'll talk about mitigating circumstances such as illness or bereavement. This is the place for them to put this. If your GCSEs are not quite as good, as long as there's a good reason for that, your tutor can include this here. Any disability that you've got, how it can affect your performance, this can go here. And again, I encourage them to put a personal recommendation. For example, they can put something along the lines of, something along the lines of like, this is, I feel that this patient, this student, is ready for a career in medicine, for example. This student wholeheartedly deserves to be a doctor. These are things that I've seen, words that I've seen on references.